let's get started. Thank you very much for participating in this meeting entitled P3iD Presents Fujitsu PaperStream NX Manager webinar. All lines have been muted during the call. If you have any issues or comments, please chat them in the box to our moderator, and we will address those questions and comments at the end of the webinar. Today's agenda, I want to introduce myself and then my company, and then talk specifically about the agenda for this particular webinar. My name is Kevin Neal with P3iD Technologies, and I'm your host today for this event. I have 25+ years in document imaging and scanning experience with both hardware and software solutions. I've been product manager for network scanners in particular, and since that's the topic of today's discussion, I hope that I'll be able to provide some good information. And I'm recognized by the AIM Association as an expert on the topic of document capture. My company is P3iD Technologies, and basically we are making traditional technologies better. So our tried and true technologies, document scanners and capture software, has had a good history of success, but there's ways to make it better with cloud computing, with mobile devices, easier connectivity. So that's what we're doing, and I'll describe some specific ways of us offering more ease of use. So offering easier ways to do traditional stuff. Then also, I will do a demo of our encryption technology, so I'm very excited to show that today. So we're bringing an additional higher level of security to some of our traditional applications. And then last but not least, for the agenda today, I want to talk specifically about a very exciting new product from Fujitsu. It's an optional, or it's a software that comes with their FI7300 NX image scanners called PaperStream NX Manager. And I'll explain what NX Manager is and show you a demo. So I'll describe what PaperStream NX Manager is. I'll describe some of the core functionality with an overview. Then I have a few demos for you using PaperStream NX Manager. And then I want to talk about P3iD add-ons for NX Manager. It's a great platform. And there's the ability to add additional capability around NX Manager. P3iD has announced an installation and configuration service for NX Manager. So we can add things like you'll see, like the encryption or optional OCR or data capture or redaction. You'll see all that today. So these are optional components, so we can help get NX Manager installed and configured quickly and efficiently so that your organization can start using this technology right away. So that's a little bit about me, my company, and then the agenda for today. So as I mentioned, distributed scanning certainly works. It has a great history of success for a long, long time. And many, many millions and millions of users have set up this traditional configuration of a distributed scanning solution. It involves a USB scanner. Then you connect the USB cable to a personal computer. And then you install the scanner driver, typically a Twain driver, an ISIS driver, or in this case, it's the Fujitsu PaperStream driver, on the PC. Then you install a capture application. There's many of them, like PaperStream Capture or other capture applications. And then usually a capture application feeds a business application. So you notice that, there's this attaching a scanner to a computer, then installing all these different software applications. So this works, but that's sort of old-fashioned, but it's certainly not bad. But there's a better way to achieve this kind of scenario, and that's what the FI7300 NX scanner plus PaperStream NX Manager does. So this is pretty much a common theme amongst scanner vendors to have these network-attached solutions. So I'll talk about PaperStream NX Manager in the next slide, but this is just a general configuration and definitely a trend in the industry to direct network-attached devices. So what it means is instead of connecting via the USB cable to a PC, it's PC-less. So you get rid of the computer and you actually attach the scanner directly to the network via an Ethernet cable, RJ45 Ethernet, standard Ethernet cables, or even a lot of these scanners are coming with Wi-Fi. So you can choose either way to connect. And as long as it's on the network, then you can connect to a central server instead of a computer. So you can imagine this is a much preferred way to deploy distributed scanning because it reduces all the complexity of installing all these different software applications like the software driver, the capture software, the business application. You do not have to install that stuff on a PC. So it reduces the complexity. It also reduces cost because you don't have to have a dedicated PC for each scanner. So this is really an ideal situation. So some of the benefits of this type of configuration is PC-less scanning. These scanners are also very small footprint. Most multifunction devices are much larger, so this is a little bread box type of scanner. And then as I mentioned, you connect via Ethernet or Wi-Fi. And then some of the additional functions are a centralized job control function where you can push out settings. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then this is truly a platform. So there's a lot of web services, API, that you can create custom integrations. And you'll see one of those when I demo in a few minutes. So this is a general trend in distributed scanning. So what is PaperStream NX Manager? So basically, I like to describe this as a traffic control cop. Basically, it's air traffic control where there's incoming information and then it's a routing type application into back-end systems. So with PaperStream NX Manager, you can set up a job workflow on the server itself, and then you could push it to the panel of the 7300. So for example, if you had an invoice process, you can set up a button, push an invoice button to the panel of the scanner, and then that process does exactly what's been configured. It can scan an invoice, and it can send it to a back-end system to extract the invoice information, and then that can be put into your accounting system, for example. So PaperStream NX Manager is basically like a workflow server. So you can, again, you can push out settings on the front end, so for incoming documents, and then route to outgoing. Some of the nice features of the 7300 itself, of the hardware, is that, again, it has the connectivity of Ethernet, it has a Wi-Fi, and it also has a USB. So if you decide to use it as I mentioned in the last slide, a USB scanner, you could still use that. So it's got all the connectivity options that you can imagine you would need for a scanner. So it also has the ability to integrate with your Active Directory so that so it has all of the functionality of a 4.3-inch color touchscreen panel. It also has the ability to integrate with Active Directory. It also has the ability to set up this concept of job profile buttons and job groups. So if you had an accounting department, you can set up a job group that is accounting, and then you could put separate sub-jobs underneath the job groups. So it's really flexible, out-of-the-box functionality. It's extremely functional to set up these job profiles, to set up these job groups, and manage everything from a central server instead of individual desktops. Additionally, in addition to the standard functionality, there's a bunch of ways that you can integrate with PaperStream NX Manager. And some of those options are the authentication API. That means that you can integrate your own authentication or identity for usernames, passwords. So for example, if you wanted to integrate some sort of biometric authentication that's unique to your organization, then you can use the authentication API to integrate with your own authentication technologies. The REST API is what P3iD used to create our mobile application called DoxaScan. I'll demo that in a few minutes. So the REST API allows an application to communicate to the server that then communicates to the scanner. So you would use the REST API to create web applications, mobile applications, and to communicate to the server. So that's a very useful way to integrate. There's also a connector API, pretty self-explanatory. Allows you to make back-end connectors if there wasn't a default connector out of the box. And by the way, the PaperStream NX Manager comes with a couple connectors, an FTP connector, email connector, SharePoint Online connector, SharePoint connector, and folder. So there's about 5 or 6 standard out-of-the-box connectors, but if you wanted to create a custom connector to your own back-end system, then it's pretty simple to use the connector API. The job API is new, and it allows you a little bit more control over the buttons. As I mentioned, you can create a button on the front that says invoice, but now with the job API, you can actually integrate that particular button with the back-end process. So it provides a bunch of flexibility. And then if you wanted to add capabilities to NX Manager but not interested in doing any software development, then there is an emerging ecosystem of add-ons, and P3iD has many different add-ons, including robotic automation technologies such as optical character recognition. We have encryption that you'll see. We have redaction. So it's basically automating, extracting information from documents. So we could do document classification. So that's part of all of our robotic automation. Also, we have a big library of connectors that we're building and have available. So I'll show you in a few minutes our website where it lists all our connectors, but we have this library of connectors that you can use to integrate with NX Manager to scan to Salesforce, for example. That's not one of the standard options, but you can use P3iD services to scan with your Fujitsu NX Manager into Salesforce, for example. And then also this encryption. So I'll show that, so I won't explain it too much here. So a lot of great core functionality of NX Manager, and then a lot of ways that this can grow with your organization over time. So I get asked this a lot, so I did want to set the stage, like who likes network attached scanners, and who would it appeal to? And basically, as I mentioned, I have a lot of experience in this space dealing with network scanners, and I think it fits nicely with everyone. And the first group that really likes network-attached scanners is the IT professionals or network administrators. And that goes without saying because these people manage networks, and they generally need to provide business productivity tools, which a document scanner and document automation provides. But maybe they're not savvy on capture and all this scanner stuff. So me as an IT professional can now give scanning to my users and deploy it in my organization simply, and it has all the things that IT administrators like centralized management, and make deployment and maintenance of these devices easy because I can get consumable counts from the server, for example. Then it also increases security because you do not have a PC involved. So this is a dedicated device, and there's no option for a user to start a web browser on the PC and download games and viruses. So IT administrators really love the concept of network-attached scanners. So that's pretty obvious. The next group that really likes network-attached scanners is line of business managers. And why is that? If you're managing 5 people, if you're managing 50 people, you want them to be productive. And you do not, as I just described, you don't want them, on the internet browsing Amazon to do their online purchases. You want them to be working and do work. So this type of solution offers line of business managers a great way to get worker productivity, because it's very straightforward, easy to use, limited training involved at all. Anybody can press a button, so there's limited training or none required whatsoever, and it allows the organization to be much more efficient with document collaboration. The next group that really likes this is the knowledge workers themselves, so the people that actually do work, and everybody has probably experienced this. If you go to the copy machine and the darn paper got stuck in the tray again, or the toner's out, or it's too difficult to learn how to get into this software application or the Twain driver, it's just overwhelming. So people like big touch screens, they like simplicity, and it makes their work better. And they can do better work, they get recognized for it, so they can provide good satisfaction to their customers, they get recognized within the organization for doing good work, and they get promoted, hopefully. So the users themselves like it. And then last but not least, the group that also likes network-attached scanners is the executive staff. So that's the CEO. This is the vice presidents of different divisions, the CTO, because this helps the organization be more efficient. So they can reduce business costs associated with paperwork and processing paperwork, or manual labor, such as typing in metadata index fields. If you do an invoice processing and make that automatic, you can process invoices in minutes instead of days or weeks or months. You can realize prepaid discounts. So executive staff absolutely loves this. Then it also reduces risks, because if you have a standard distributing application, again, where you can have a PC and there's not locked down profiles, there's risk involved, because people can accidentally scan to the wrong folder or the wrong email address. And you can imagine if you had a confidential document and that happens, that's a risk to your business. So with the lockdown job profiles, this is a really great thing for executive management team. So let's take the IT managers and the network administrators one level deeper, as just to drill down on that, because this is the group that really embraces network-attached scanners. So as you can see here, we have NX Manager installed, and we have set up central administration servers so that I can get consumable counts. I can be notified if there's scanner errors. And then I also have NX Manager, so I can push out job profiles. So some of the benefits are that I can centralize settings. I set up one server and push it to an individual scanner. I could push it to departments. I could push it to remote offices, or I could even push it out worldwide. So leverage the internet as your friend and be able to push it out to all these different places with ease. Control access, as I just described. If you set up a job profile that does a particular function, there is no risk of accidentally sending it to the wrong email address or wrong folder. There's always a lockdown profile. You can obviously have the option of changing that if you wish, if your workflow dictates that you want to give the users the options of changing email addresses. You can certainly do that. But the whole idea is that the administrator has access and control to either set up lockdown profiles with controlled access or give options. Reduce labor costs. This is absolutely one of the big-time benefits, is that traditionally in distributed scanning, IT people would have to travel to remote offices and spend a couple days traveling, set up the PC, install the operating system, install the scanner driver, install the capture application, install the business application, and that's expensive to travel. Now with this type of configuration, it's really simple. You just ship the scanner to a remote location. You can have anybody that can open the box, plug in the power cord, plug in the Ethernet cable, or connect to the Wi-Fi, and they could set up the scanners themselves. It doesn't take a technical person to do that whatsoever. So this is a big-time benefit to reduce labor costs. And then last but not least, peak performance. So as I mentioned, you can get consumable counts when they need to be replaced. If you use the scanner a lot, there are parts in there because it's a mechanical device. You will have to replace pick rollers and pad assemblies, and different parts wear out over time. So you can get proactive notifications as you approach a replacement cycle. So you can plan for that. You can order parts. You can schedule time when it's not disruptive to the business. So this is a few benefits of IT administrators. And then this is another thing, moving on to use case scenarios for centralized job function workflow. This is probably one of the questions I get asked most, is that who's using these things? And there's some really great case studies and use cases for centralized job function workflow and network attached scanners. And I'll elaborate a little bit on three of them. The first is in state and local government. The next is retail outlets, and then the third one is franchise stores. So in state and local government, there was a few rather large deals for social services. So state agencies generally have a headquarters in the capital of the state, and then they have remote offices for citizens to go for things like marriage licenses, for business licenses, for zoning things. So you have to go to your local county office. And in those cases, there's a lot of documentation that's required. So in these state and local government agencies, they actually deploy network scanners in the remote counties and cities and districts where they can collect all these social service type documentation and send them back to the central location for processing. So you can imagine that this is a great service for citizens. So you're paying your tax dollars for services. So the state and local government has invested in this kind of technology to make your life easier if you go and apply for different social services. So this is really great, and it helps communities, because people that apply for these services, the last thing they want to do is wait. They might need a welfare or unemployment, and to process this quicker really helps people's lives. So that's been a great vertical market and use case for network attached scanners in state and local government. The next is retail outlets. So similar to this, a lot of organizations have a centralized headquarters, obviously, and then they have a nationwide network of retail stores or retail outlets. And in these cases, a lot of customers had been collecting documents, for example, in applying for a new car loan. In these cases, they would collect all the information for a new car loan into deal jackets, and these deal jackets could be 400, 500 pages. There are all kinds of W-2 forms and application forms and pink slips and all this kind of stuff. So checks and whatnot. So as the deal was put together, you collect all these documents, and in a lot of these automobile agencies, they would collect these documents and then FedEx them to a centralized location. And you can imagine it took time, it took money, took effort to get the new car loan. Now, what happens is they put network scanners in the regional offices, and they collect all the documents through the deal right away. So you can collect all those. You can scan a driver's license, and you can scan their W-2 forms, and you can scan their application forms. And then they push those images directly to the centralized headquarters, and the headquarters then immediately can start the new car loan application. So that's another great example. So any retail outlet that has this hub and spoke kind of setup where they have a centralized headquarters for processing, then they could push out the acquisition of documents and information into the retail outlets. So that helps complete transactions much quicker for retail. Then last but not least, this is also a very popular use case for centralized job function workflow is franchise stores. So in restaurants, at the end of the shifts, they collect receipts. So at the end of the shift, they'll collect all the receipts, and generally they bundle them up and, again, ship them to a centralized location for reconciliation of the cash register receipts. So now, instead of collecting the receipts physically, they actually scan the receipts at the end of the shift, and then they just send them back to headquarters, and headquarters either archives for archival purpose. If somebody questions, hey, I only wrote, I meant to write $15 instead of $1.50, or if there's any dispute, they can actually pull up the image of the receipt and say, oh, this was the intended amount of the tip. So that's good for compliance. Also, things such as cleaning of bathrooms in gas station outlets. If maybe you need to collect the cleaning documentation and send it back to the HQ for compliance reasons. So there's a bunch of different use cases in franchise stores where you can collect documents and send them back to a central location. So 3 great use cases of centralized job function workflow. Okay, so moving on to the topic of security, and then we'll get into the demos. So this is a big number, over 13 billion, and that's a gigantic number. And so what does that represent? That represents the number of data records lost or stolen, and that's only since 2013. So as we move distributed scanning to the internet and to cloud, security is a big, big concern, and do not take this lightly. So P3iD has focused heavily on augmenting, as I said in the introduction, making distributed scanning and capture better with additional capabilities. So we have very seriously focused on security, and I'll show you our encryption technology. We also have an identity and authentication technology that's very special. So, and I just highlighted 3 companies, not to pick on these companies, but they're recognizable names that everybody has heard of. FedEx in 2018 was a victim of a cyber attack, and it cost them billions of dollars in value and stained their reputation. So one data breach was really bad for FedEx. Equifax, they haven't been the same company since. I think it was 145 million records. You could see in the quotation here, we've seen a $6 billion loss in market cap, losses from these breaches in excess of $20 billion. So do not take this lightly when the technology is not complicated, not expensive. Then Uber, they're still under investigation and subpoena, and they've had a huge turnover in their executive staff because of this 57 million user data breach. So this is huge, and P3iD is offering ways to make NX Manager better with with the security. So there's two demos I want to show today. So the first one is DOCSIS scan, pull scan with NX Manager. And let me get this set up. So the first demo is of DOCSIS scan. So let me show a video here. So you can see that we log into our mobile device, we pick the NX scanner, and then it reserves the scanner, and then it scans the document. Then it sends it to the back-end encryption. Now it's encrypted. So let's do a live demo. So I'm going to scan a document. And now over here, you will see that that document has been sent to my backend. So let's take a look at what the image looks like. So here's my scanned image it sent it to redaction. So you can see it redacted the names on the document. It redacted IP addresses. It redacted social security numbers, and it redacted credit card numbers. So that was all automatic. And this is burned into the image. There was a recent, again, talking about security, there was a recent case where somebody had circulated a redacted document, and it looked like this, but you can actually copy and paste the redacted information. So it really defeated the purpose and was not good. So this redaction is actually burned into the image itself so that you can't get to the information. So this is how the users would see the document. It's just a normal PDF file, but this is magically encrypted with our encryption technology on the back end. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. Let's see here. What this looks like on our Amazon Web Services. So this is our Amazon Web Service portal, and this is what they call a bucket in an Amazon S3 service. So let me refresh this because that image just came in. So to the back end, if somebody was to hack Amazon or our storage, it could be local storage or any cloud storage. It just doesn't have to be Amazon. I'm just using Amazon as an example. This is what it looks like to the back-end service. This is stripped of the digital identity. So you can see this is just a random folder name. This means nothing. They don't even know this is a PDF document. So the back-end system itself, it's been encrypted, and it's also been sliced into this folder, to these random folders, 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 to here's the actual file. So again, there's no concept of this is a PDF or a TIFF or a JPEG. The backend system itself has no idea. So the whole point is that you can use commodity storage such as Amazon or Oracle or Azure or or your local storage, or you can split it amongst that. So this particular file could have been split amongst 10 different backend systems if you wanted to. So you can imagine that the odds of hacking Amazon, then decrypting, then reassembling these documents, just one provider is almost unheard of. But if you put it amongst 2 or 3 providers, they'd have to hack all those, decrypt, and assemble. So this is a really special technology. And again, to the users themselves, they don't know the difference. It's just a PDF file. But to the back-end system, this is what it looks like. So this is a really great encryption technology. Here's a little graphic of what I just showed with this bring your own encryption. So it provides a layer of encryption for hybrid storage. So, and then you can see I have Google represented, Amazon S3, Azure, OpenStack, and that's the idea. It encrypts at the point that it hits this folder. So the second that you scan with NX Manager, it's an encrypted file. So it never lives unencrypted. So that was our demo. So the DoxaScan demo with the mobile, the purpose of that is to show that it's super duper easy to use a mobile device to drive the scanning experience. So you see that the touchscreen on the on the FI 7300 is a 4.3-inch color touchscreen, but it is 4.3 inches. So sometimes if you have a long username or a password, it's not so convenient to type it on that screen. So you can imagine with your mobile device, you could just walk up. You can use your mobile device to authenticate. Maybe you're using an iPad, bigger screen. Maybe you type in your username. Or you can integrate with things like the NFC near-field communication chips that are in some of the newer phones, or even stickers. So there's ways that you can authenticate to NX Manager and the scanner super duper easy using mobile devices. So I showed you pull scanning from a mobile device through the NX Manager and 7300, and then we send it to backend cloud storage. So the whole point of a user experience is easy. As I mentioned, the network administrators liked it because you're able to push out the application to the users in a centralized managed capability. And then last but not least, the business owners like it because of this super duper high level of security when it comes to identity and encryption. So those are the two demos. So before I wrap up with a summary, I do want to show you a website that we've created. So this is this URL here, nxworld.p3idtech.com, is a dedicated microsite to Fujitsu PaperStream NX Manager. And this homepage is about the P3iD installation and configuration services. So if you like what you've seen and you want to use our installation and configuration services, then you just sign up here. So that's the landing page. But this site is much more than just a blatant promotion for P3iD. We have a bunch of other information. So under NX Manager features, if you click features, this describes NX Manager. So what it is, what you can do with it. So integrated systems, custom workflows, custom user experience like I showed with the DoxaScan mobile. You can do things like we'll describe fleet management, scanner deployment. So this is a great marketing tool if you want more information. Then under here we also have add-ons. So I mentioned integration add-ons. So this is connectors. I also mentioned the robotic document automation or repetitive document automation and encryption. So let's take a look at integrations real quick. As I mentioned, if you go here, there's information on our integration. So if you want to jump down, you can see here's some of our partners, ICANN Software, Square9, DocI Group, and then here's the connectors. So we have Alfresco, Amazon S3 as I showed, Box, Oracle, bunch of different ones. Also some niche ones, a Simplement for accounting for SAP. So this is a growing ecosystem of integration partners. We also have this concept of robotic process automation or repetitive document automation. So this is automation tools such as optical character recognition, document classification, indexing. We also have some barcode recognition, barcode separation, digital rights. So this is evolving capabilities to automate document process. Here's some videos on digital rights, for example, that you could see the video and learn the capability. If you are a partner or a technology partner and want to have a capability that's going to add value to NX Manager, definitely fill out that form or contact us. And then last but not least of the add-ons, as I just showed you, here's more detail on the encryption that I just showed. So become a hacker's worst nightmare with this encryption. So there's a picture I just showed. Here's more detail on how it works. So we actually describe the process of encrypting locally and stripping of the digital identity, using our algorithm to split the documents and fragment it. So it's all explained here, and so that's a good thing. And as I mentioned, this is not a blatant promotion for P3. So just in general, the benefits of a network scanner. So we described some of the use cases I described, some of the benefits, ease of use, total cost, integrated, etc. So there's a lot of information. This is how the workflow works with Box. Again, another video. We talk about the integrations, the difference between dedicated scanners versus multifunction copiers. So a bunch of information there. And then over here we have a resellers tab. So there's some information on a blog we did about the opportunities of network scanning for resellers. We'll also have a portal login. So if you want to be a reseller partner, you can apply, and then upon approval, we have a portal login where you can log in and we can brand videos with your contact information and your company information so that you can promote this kind of capability on your own. So this is a great resource for resellers. So, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And then we have a FAQ about NX Manager. So what is the NX World website? What's the authentication API? I described it a little bit. Here's a little bit more detail. Do we provide demos? How long does it take to? So a bunch of frequently asked questions. So this is a great resource for people to use. So in summary, this webinar was for everybody, so we appreciate your attention. It's been recorded for future use. So there's three particular groups that we wanted to appeal today. So number one is for end users. So we have a program called Technology Adoption Program, and this means that as an end user, you get access to this kind of innovative technology where you can take it, and we will work closely with you to install in your own organization, and we will set up basically an evaluation program where you can kick the tires, try it in your own environment with your own users. You can provide feedback, that gets incorporated into the product roadmap. So it's a really great way for your organization to get exclusive access to new technologies. So this is really great for your business planning too, so that you can get the technology, you can understand what it is, you can plan for it. So the TAP is a great program. We have it on our website, so if you're interested, just go to P3iDtech.com, and right up here on our website we have the Technology Adoption Program, TAP. So just click there, and then here's some information on TAP, Technology Adoption Program. Here's what it is, here's how it works, and then you can apply with this form. So you just fill out this form, send that to us, we review, and then we can get TAP set up for you. So that's for end users. For partners, we have, I just showed it a little bit, reseller partners for the installation and configuration services, as well as our add-ons. So if you are a reseller partner and want to resell these kind of services and technologies, it's really simple. We're looking for strategic reseller partners. So just go to this URL and fill out the application, and upon approval, we can give you that portal access I described, where there's a bunch of marketing materials and stuff that you can use to promote this technology. I want to show the reseller portal again, just because I just mentioned it. So over here, click resellers. And this is specific for resellers. Transform your business into the future. This is a better way to sell. Gives you some really great tips on positioning these devices, because as I mentioned in the introduction, distributed scanning and capture works. There's no question about it. But it's a different way. So people need to think differently and think innovative. So these are some of the things that we've seen over time, and we've consolidated them, and we wanted to share this with everybody. So here's some of the benefits. For example, a subscription business model. That's kind of new and not common in our industry, so now you can sell subscriptions. In fact, Fujitsu just introduced a subscription for the hardware itself. So you can get the 7300 on a subscription. You can get P3iD services on subscription. So it's all operating expense instead of capital expense. So, so this is kind of new in a way that you can change your business for a reseller. It accelerates your business. It allows you to differentiate your business. So this is the dedicated portal for resellers. So we encourage resellers. Then last but not least of the three groups is software and technology partners. So as I mentioned, NX Manager has a lot of great core capability out of the box, but it's also a platform for development. So if you want to use the authentication API or connector API or REST API or job API, there's a bunch of API. Whatever your technology is, there's a way that you can make NX Manager better through integration. So I definitely encourage discussion of this because there's so many different new ways of doing things better. So if you are a software or technology partner, I highly encourage you to either reach out to Fujitsu directly or reach out through P3iD. So you can go to our microsite, as I mentioned, nxworld.p3idtech.com, or you can call us at 408-785-2005, or certainly send us an email at nxworld@p3idtech.com. So those are the ways that we want to work with everybody in the industry to evangelize this new kind of way of network scanning. So with that, we will consolidate all the chat requests and get back to people on an individual basis. But that is our presentation today on P3iD presents Fujitsu PaperStream NX Manager. And I want to thank you. Again, here's our contact information. And we hope that everybody has a good day. And please let us know if we can be of assistance to you. Thank you very much.